The Shining, a 1980s horror classic, starred Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, and Danny Lloyd, who ironically played the character of Danny, and last name is the name of Lloyd the bartender. Thought I just had that in. But the movie, for what it was, it could have been cut 30, 40 minutes shorter, You could have cut that out because once Dan met Abra, a fellow shining, you know, person, that's when it picked up. That's when it started, it picked up steam. Because, they could have taken the first 30, 40 minutes and just took 5 minutes from it so that at least we can get like the setup, where he's been, what he's been doing. But it dragged on. That first part dragged on. The movie didn't do too well at the box office, but I always say that that doesn't mean that the movie's bad. It's just the fact that a lot of people didn't want to go see it. This generation, I don't think, really is into The Shining, the original one anyway, and they just didn't go see it. 45 million budget, and it made about 79 million, something like that. Not too good. But I always said that that doesn't make a movie, a good or bad movie. It makes it not a successful movie, of course. Hollywood is about money. Studios need to make the money back. The movie didn't do it. The sequels are up in the air. They had plans, and even Stephen King was up for it, But who knows now? But what I liked about this is once it got to the part where they were going to lure Rose the Hat, the leader of this cult, this group of people who, you know, go after people with the shining. That's how they live. That's how they live long. Like what she says, live long, eat well. You don't live forever, but you can live long as long as they feed on these people who have the shining. Once they arrive there, that familiar drive up with the snow all around, you hear that iconic shining music. Can't mistake it. Can't mishear it. It's one of the most iconic scores, out there, in movie history. And the reason why they're going there is, of course, like I said, they want to lure Rose to that place, and that place is a place that'll eat you up, like how Rose and her crew are looking to eat people with the Shining. Well, here the building itself is the embodiment of what Rose is and all these other people are, and they lure her in there, and for a second they are able to project her to the maze, where Jack Torrance met his end. And they had a pretty much of a going at it, and she was able to break away from it because he was trying to lock her in one of those little boxes. You couldn't do it. But once she got the drop on him, cut his femoral artery on his leg, kind of hobbling him, incapacitating him. She was, you know, trying to get the shine from him, and she was pressing her thumb into his wound there. Then all of a sudden, she gets met with familiar ghost from Shining's past. You see Lloyd there. You see his wife. You see the twins. You see the creepy, scary, old decaying lady from the bathtub. And as soon as they take her Shining and they kill her, turn their attention to what do you call it, to Dan, and he seemingly the Overlook possesses him, and in a familiar looking scene, you see him hobbling like how Jack was in the original film, and he has an axe in his hand. He's going after Abra, who is played by Kylie Curran, and she really did a good job. Very, very good actress. Uh, Played the role really well. I loved what she did in this film, and she played off real well by with a seasoned actor like Ewan McGregor. And she's able to convince him, well, convince the building that, I mean, the overlook that was possessing Dan, that, that the person there is stronger than you. He snapped out of it just enough to listen to her and talk to her. And turns out that that earlier scene when he visited the boiler, he did it to where the boiler was going to overload, I guess you can say, and start fire, start lighting on fire. The building started engulfing in flames, and he pretty much sacrificed himself. He told Abra to leave, and as he was just sitting there, he knew his fate. He just knelt down, and then his mother appeared out of nowhere, and then you see him as a little child. They both smile, and then the whole building engulfs in flames, and then in comes like you know fire department, police off in the distance. And then I thought that he got out, but in fact he was visiting her at her home, Abra at her home in spirit, and pretty much he ended the film telling her the shine will never stop. You shine on. And the movie to me was like a real nostalgia kick. I liked the inside interiors recreated from The Shining. From the familiar wide open lobby, I guess you can call it, the ground floor. You see that table with that old school typewriter, the stairs that go up, you know, and when Rose came in, you saw that familiar background, of that the red coloring that's like everywhere in this building, And I enjoyed it, Like I said, it could have cut the first 30, 40 minutes, or just in general, cut out 30 to 40 minutes, and it would have been a more enjoyable film in the sense that you would be able to put up with it. I can see why people wouldn't want to because it was long. This is the one time when I say that if a movie is long, but it's like from start to finish, it's very entertaining and it keeps you awake and it keeps you watching. I found myself looking at my phone, listening still to the movie, but at times I would look away, and that was like during the first 30 or 40 minutes because it was just so long. There's a lot of lulls in this movie. The movie got good, critic feedback. It's something like 77% on Rotten Tomatoes. I never listed Rotten Tomatoes. I've always said that it's crap. It's just a consensus of critics and their opinions. So it's like just because they like a film or they don't like a film doesn't mean we're going to feel the same way. But at least them and also the audience's senses as well. They like the movie. It didn't too well. Didn't too well. Do too well at the box office, like I said in the beginning. But that doesn't mean that the movie wasn't good. You know, this means that it wasn't successful in the sense of making its budget back and kind of definitely not, you know, gaining a profit for the studios. So I definitely don't see another sequel being done. And if they do, may likely be a TV movie or like that direct to video. You'll see something like that in the future. But I could see this movie becoming a cult classic. People just give it another view. I rarely do that, but if I was going to, I would actually try to watch it from the point when they met Abra and Dan. And that's when the movie, like I said, picked up. That's when it really held my attention till the end. It was like that's how the movie should have been. Yes, we got to do a build up. Yes, we got to establish what's Dan been doing, all these years. He was an alcoholic. He was battling his demons. And all I kept thinking is that, yeah, maybe that's the reason why he was drinking, because he was trying to drown out those voices, those visits. I mean, Carl Lumley plays, um, what's the character that he played? And he played Dick Halloran, and it totally reminded me of Scatman Crothers. Carl Lumley looks like Scatman Crothers, who played Dick Halloran in the original film, and I mean, not the original, but from The Shining. And yeah, so I can kind of see. I go, yeah, that is him, you know. And Carl Lumbly definitely is at that age now that Scatman Crothers was back then. So it was kind of a kind of a cool thing. And another thing is that I didn't find out until I looked up the cast later after I watched the movie, that Henry Thomas, who played Elliot in E.T., played Lloyd the bartender, and he had the face of Jack Torrance. And then even in flashback scenes, you see him, and I'm like amazed, like, whoa, you know, good makeup job, you know, good, good performance on his part. They even did flashbacks when he was looking, you know, going after Wendy with the axe. And that was really cool. And the one that played Wendy, the young actress, looks exactly like her. There was a scene when that Dan Torrance goes back to the Shining. He looks through that famous hole that was made when Jack Torrance, you know, you know, you know, struck it with the axe, and then you see the young actress doing that very familiar scream, and and portraying what how Shelley Duvall acted in the film when the axe is coming through the door. And I had to rewind it again, and I said, that's actually the recreation, and it looked really good. And the young actress looks just like her. And even in the beginning scenes where she was interacting with her son Danny, looked just like her. And I don't know if it was makeup or it's just the fact that she has like an uncanny, resemblance to Shelley Duvall. But that and the fact that you see the familiar going through the hallway when uh, Abra was running, and then she runs into the two twins who look exactly like the twins from The Shining. And I love how all the characters, those familiar ghosts from the past of The Shining come back, and they look exactly like them. It was really well done, and a real great homage to The Shining. It really, I love the fact that these guys had that attention to detail, and they weren't just cheaping themselves up, through the film. And yeah, we're just gonna do this and do that, but just half-ass it. They didn't do that. They really, really paid attention. It's like you went back to to the Overlook, and you went back to The Shining, the movie, to the very familiar things, to the maze as well. It's the same. So my hats off to them, to the directors, producers, the writers, everybody. Really well done. It's a shame that they won't be another sequel. They're thinking about doing Dick Halloran's, like, for a prequel. They're going to do his story or do a sequel that would follow Abra. I'd like to see that. Dick Halloran, I don't know, because I don't know if yeah, I definitely want to see how he was as a youngster, with the ship with the gift of The Shining. But Abra, I'd like to see what happens with her. That would be something. But well, that's my thoughts on the movie Doctor Sleep, the sequel to The Shining. Very good movie. Well done, despite the fact that there were moments that slowed the film down. They could have shaved the time off of it to make it a shorter film, hour and a half, maybe hour and 45, maybe at 2 hours at the most. But the fact that it was over 2.5 hours was a bit much. But that doesn't take away from the fact that it was a good film. And it's a movie that I think will definitely be a cult classic, and people will embrace it. And they will even call it a classic along the lines of The Shining. Well, that's my video. And for those of you who stopped by and checked it out, I appreciate it. And in closing, as always, take care. Please remember to subscribe, click like, and click the bell icon for all notifications on this channel.